the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming.
Mel Gibson did not hold back when turning his attention toward California's Governor Gavin Newsom. What was expected to be a routine critique of state leadership quickly turned into a blistering attack that caught the attention of political watchers, cultural commentators, and ordinary Californians alike. Gibson, known for his directness and fiery personality, did not temper his words or gestures, instead laying out his perspective in an explosive manner that painted Newsom's time in office as a collection of failures, contradictions, and misplaced priorities. The spectacle carried weight not only because of Gibson's star power, but also because it represented a broader frustration among many who have watched California struggle under the governor's policies. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. From the start, Gibson framed his remarks with a sharp focus on leadership. He hammered at the idea that California had once been seen as the Golden State, a place of prosperity, innovation, and freedom, yet under Newsom's charge, it had descended into something more chaotic and fractured. He highlighted how many residents feel suffocated by regulations and the high cost of living, linking those issues directly to Newsom's governance. His words echoed sentiments often whispered at family dinners and shouted at protests. That California has been slipping away from the dream it once symbolized. Gibson's delivery turned those murmurs into a clear and unflinching accusation. What made Gibson's destruction of Newsom so striking was not just the substance of his points, but the energy he brought to them. He portrayed the governor as detached from the realities faced by ordinary Californians. In Gibson's telling, Newsom resided in a bubble where political games mattered more than real solutions. Homelessness, which has grown more visible across California's largest cities, became one of the central charges. Gibson described it not as a problem left unattended, but as one that had been allowed to balloon under poor leadership, pointing to the tent-lined sidewalks as a symbol of official neglect. The imagery he invoked was so vivid that it left little room for defense. The critique expanded beyond homelessness to the realm of crime and safety. Gibson spoke with alarm about how rising crime rates, particularly theft and organized shoplifting, had left residents feeling abandoned. He tied these conditions to Newsom's policies, describing them as overly lenient and disconnected from the needs of people who simply want to feel secure in their communities. In Gibson's view, the social contract had been broken. Hardworking families who pay high taxes were not receiving the safety and order they deserved. He suggested that under Newsom, the state's priorities had tilted toward ideological experiments rather than the foundational responsibilities of governance. California's economy, too, became a target. Gibson took aim at high taxation and regulatory burdens, characterizing them as suffocating forces that drive businesses and individuals out of the state. He painted a picture of entrepreneurs packing their lives into moving trucks and heading to states with fewer restrictions and lower costs. The actor's words carried a dramatic edge, but they resonated with those who have watched headlines about companies relocating to Texas, Florida, or Nevada. By portraying Newsom as the face of policies that pushed opportunity elsewhere, Gibson made the governor seem like the architect of an exodus rather than the steward of a thriving economy. Housing was another arena where Gibson aimed his fire. He called attention to the skyrocketing prices that have locked out younger generations and burdened families. To Gibson, this was not just a natural consequence of supply and demand, but a result of leadership unwilling to cut through red tape or address root causes. He described a situation where bureaucracy had tangled itself so tightly around development that progress became nearly impossible. In his framing, Newsom's leadership represented paralysis rather than innovation, frustration rather than progress. Energy and environmental policies did not escape Gibson's condemnation either. While California has long prided itself on being at the forefront of environmental responsibility, Gibson suggested that the cost of these policies had fallen hardest on ordinary people. Rising gas prices, energy shortages, and rolling blackouts were all linked back to what he portrayed as short-sighted decision-making. The irony, he suggested, was that while leaders boasted of green victories, residents were paying some of the highest energy costs in the nation. His words landed with the weight of lived experience, especially for families who had endured nights without power during fire seasons or sweltering summers. Education also came under scrutiny. Gibson painted a bleak picture of California's schools, criticizing declining performance metrics and describing them as evidence of a system in disrepair. He pointed out that despite high spending, outcomes had not improved, leaving many students unprepared for the future. To him, this represented a betrayal of families who trusted the state to provide opportunity for their children. He linked this failure back to Newsom's leadership, suggesting that the focus had been on political correctness and ideological battles rather than practical solutions. Gibson's takedown was not delivered with clinical detachment, but with passion, frustration, and at times a theatrical intensity that reminded everyone of his acting roots. His body language, his tone, and his rhythm all contributed to the sense that he was not merely offering a critique, but issuing a verdict. The forcefulness left little doubt about his stance, and transformed the moment into something more dramatic than a standard political commentary. It felt like a performance, yet one driven by genuine anger and disillusionment. The implications of this verbal assault went beyond the clash of two personalities. Gibson's destruction of Newsom reflected a growing divide in how Californians see their state and its future. For some, his words echoed their own frustrations and validated their sense that leadership had failed them. For others, the spectacle raised questions about the role of celebrities in political discourse and whether passion could substitute for policy expertise. Either way, Gibson's attack guaranteed attention, forcing discussions that might otherwise have remained confined to policy papers or campaign ads into mainstream conversation. This confrontation also underscored the power of cultural figures to shape political narratives. Gibson's fame ensured that his critique would spread beyond California's borders, drawing national attention to issues within the state. His destruction of Newsom was not just about one governor, but about the perception of California as a symbol for the direction of the country. If California falters, Gibson suggested, it sends a message about where the nation could be headed. In that sense, the clash became larger than either man. It became a battle over visions of America's future. The bluntness of Gibson's words resonated because it contrasted so sharply with the polished rhetoric often used by politicians. Newsom's speeches are typically filled with carefully chosen phrases, statistics, and promises. Gibson, by comparison, used raw imagery and direct accusations, cutting through the layers of political framing. This difference in style heightened the sense that he was stripping away pretenses and speaking directly to frustrations many feel. It is this contrast between the smooth politician and the unfiltered celebrity that made the destruction so powerful. The attack also reflected a deep skepticism about political elites and their detachment from everyday realities. Gibson's framing placed Newsom not as a public servant, but as part of an insulated class that makes decisions without living the consequences. This theme has become increasingly common in political discourse, where frustration with establishment figures cuts across party lines. By embodying this criticism in such dramatic fashion, Gibson tapped into a mood that is larger than California and broader than one governor's record. As Gibson's destruction of Newsom spread, it became a topic of conversation not only among political insiders, but also among ordinary people. In coffee shops, online forums, and social media feeds, the images and words circulated, sparking debate. Some applauded Gibson's courage to say what others hesitated to voice. Others criticized him for oversimplifying complex issues, or for using his celebrity platform irresponsibly. Regardless of perspective, the moment demanded attention and refused to fade quietly into the background. The forcefulness of Gibson's critique highlighted an important truth. Leadership is judged not only by policy, but also by perception. Californians live with the daily realities of high costs, visible homelessness, and safety concerns. And those realities shape their opinions more than any statistic can. Gibson tapped into those visceral experiences, amplifying them with the intensity of his delivery. His destruction of Newsom was less about data and more about emotion, which in the realm of politics can often carry more weight. The drama of the moment was heightened by the fact that Gibson is no stranger to controversy himself. His own career has been marked by ups and downs, moments of triumph and moments of scandal. This gave his attack a sense of unpredictability. Viewers could not dismiss it as routine or staged. Instead, it felt raw, unfiltered, and dangerously honest. That unpredictability is precisely what made the destruction resonate so strongly, as though nothing was off limits and no point too sharp. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Mel Gibson calling out Gavin Newsom's leadership? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.